I am Anil Kumar. Welcome to my YouTube channel and the website Global Math Institute. Let's try to understand equivalent angles for the same trigonometric ratios when we are considering 0 to 360 degrees. The question here is, state all angles theta between 0 degrees and 360 degrees that make each equation true. 4 equations are given to us. They are in cos, sine, and tan. We need to find the angles for which this ratio will be equivalent. You can always pause the video, answer the question, and then look into my suggestions. Well, the concept to solve is that we look into the 4 quadrants and the cast rule. So as you know, all are positive in quadrant 1, sine is positive in quadrant 2, tan in 3, and cosine in 4. So if I say cos of 45 degrees is equal to cos theta, then angle theta should be either in quadrant 1 or in quadrant 4. Makes sense? So that is how we are going to get our answers. So I hope the concept is clear. You can pause the video, answer the questions, and then look into my suggestions. Now let's try to solve them one by one. Beginning with question number 1, which is we are given cos of 45 degrees. And that is equal to some angle, cos of angle theta. So now, what is that angle theta? This is what we need to figure out. And we know that theta is between 0 degrees and 360 degrees, right? That means one full circle, right? So using the cast rule, which we just discussed, we know that cosine is positive in quadrant 1 and in quadrant 4. And therefore, the angle should be in quadrant 4. So if we are given one of them as 45 degrees, right? In that case, the other angle should be how much? Should be 360 degrees minus 45, correct? So the angle theta should be equal to 360 degrees minus 45 degrees. Since the related acute angle has to be same, right? So this has to be 45 degrees. That is the concept. So 360 minus 45 gives us 315 degrees. And therefore, theta is 315 degrees, and you can verify that cos of 45 degrees is equal to cos of 315 degrees, and both are equal to square root 2 over 2. Makes sense, correct? So that is how we need to solve these questions. Now let's look into question number 2. Here we have sine of 35 degrees is equal to minus of sine of some angle theta. Now when we say minus of some angle theta, that means we are looking for a negative answer, right? So once again, let me put the cast rule very clearly here. Sine 35 means we are in quadrant 1. Sine is positive. We need sine theta to be negative so that negative becomes positive. You get the idea. So, therefore, we should have the angle which should be either in quadrant 3 or in quadrant 4. This related acute angle 35 degrees is given to us. So, this angle which we need to figure out has to be what? Can you tell me? Well, one of the angles theta should be equal to 180 degrees plus 35 degrees. Then you will be in quadrant 3. Sine will be negative. Negative of negative will give you positive. Makes sense? That is the concept, right? So that is one of the solutions for the angles. So 5 and 8 plus 3 is 11, 215 degrees. The other angle should be 360 degrees minus 35. That gives you 5 degrees, and then taking away from 5, we get 325 degrees. So we have 2 solutions for this particular case, and the 2 solutions are that theta equals to 215 degrees or 325 degrees. You can use the calculator and verify the result for the given equation to be true. I hope it makes sense, right? So I think the concept is clear. If it is negative of sine theta, we are looking for something which will give us negative value. Negative will be positive, and that is possible if we sine is in quadrant 3 or in quadrant 4. Perfect? Correct. Let's move on to the next question, which is cos of theta is equal to minus cos of minus 45 degrees. Well, when we take about cos as minus 45, cos is an even function. We could also write this as minus cos of 45 degrees. You see that? So cos theta, we know cos of minus theta is cos theta. This is an even function, right? Perfect. Now I think we can apply the same strategy as we did in the previous example to find the value. So, again, using the cost rule, what do you observe? Well, cos of 45 degrees, and that to a negative value we want, we know that the related acute angle is 45, right? So the other solutions giving us this angle theta should be what? Well, this value is negative, right? So this value will be negative. So we are looking for a negative result for theta. So negative is possible if we are taking the angle in quadrant 2 or 3, right? So our solution lies in quadrant 2 or in quadrant 3. Perfect. So that gives you theta in quadrant 2 will be 180 degrees minus 45 degrees, and in quadrant 3 it is going to be 180 degrees plus 45 degrees. Makes sense? Correct? So one of the answers is 4 plus 8 is 12, 225. Oh, I added it first. Let me subtract that, right? So 225 will come here. And when you take away, we get 7, take away 4 is 3, so 135 degrees. So these are the two solutions. These values of theta will give us a negative value, square root 202, which will satisfy the given equation. So I hope the concept is clear. Here is the last question for you. I'd like you to pause the video, answer this. Well, in case you want to learn from me, you can always send an email on the address given. So the question here is, we are looking now for tan of 135 degrees. And that should be equal to minus of tan of theta. Now, tan 135 means we are in which quadrant? Well, we are in quadrant 2. So in quadrant 2, tan 135 is going to be negative value. So we want negative tan theta, means we want a positive value for tan theta, and that is possible if we look into the quadrants 1 and in 3, correct? You get the idea. The angle, the related acute angle, if this is 135, is equal to 45 degrees, correct? So, therefore, the two angles should be 45 degrees and 180 plus 45 degrees. Does it make sense to you, right? So that is how you need to work out the solution, right? So we do get this answer. Well, we have to make a negative of this. So if we get positive and negative, we get negative. And therefore, the theta, the angle, should be either 45 degrees or 180 degrees plus 45 degrees, which is 225 degrees. Makes sense? So those are the two solutions for this particular case. So I hope you understand the concept. You can always verify that tan of 135 degrees will be equal to minus tan of 45 degrees, and that will also be equal to minus tan of 225 degrees, correct? So I hope with this you have understood how do we find angles which will give us the same result. Well, those of you who are working with radians, for them, this will be a good sheet to work with. We have learned in different situations when do the trigonometric ratios give us equivalent values. So that chart helps. But well, with the given examples, I hope the concept is absolutely clear. Feel free to write your comment, share your views. If you like and subscribe to my videos, that'd be great. Feel free to contact me on the email address given. Thanks for your time and all the best.